Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. Welcome to the last day of the week and also the last day for this module. What's unique about Unit 3, or Unit 6, excuse me, is how many different concepts we are teaching you. We started off with Module 1, where it was all coordinate points. We moved into Module 2, which is the geometry and the shapes. Module 3 is going to come back to volume, and Module 4 is going to be about multiplying some mixed numbers. So we're all over the board here. So while you're going to be turning over into something new, this is kind of our last chance, our last opportunity to really talk about shapes. And so we're doing something fun today. At least I think it's fun. It's called Hierarchy Riddles. And the way it's going to work is I'm going to give you 4 clues. And after going through those 4 clues, you should be able to conclude which shape I'm talking about. So that is our main goal for today. Pay attention because you're going to be required to turn one of your own in to a teacher as well, your own hierarchy riddle. So let's start it off. We have the first one. I have 4 sides. So what is the most specific? And you're either going to, you should have this in your notebook, and then you're also going to need probably page 225, which we just did just on Tuesday. So that's your quadrilateral hierarchies on that page 225. Let me show you mine really quickly here. So remember, it looks like this. Here's is all filled in. So page 225, and then also your little notebook page that we copied down all of these different types of polygons on. More specifically, the triangles we're really looking at. So I have 4 sides. So what do you think? So you should be thinking it's quadrilaterals. Those are shapes that have 4 sides. So right now we know that the shape that we're talking about in this riddle is a quadrilateral. So I would definitely be using my quadrilateral hierarchy tool from here then. So if it's a quadrilateral, okay, that means it could be a kite, it could be a trapezoid, it could be a square. We're not sure yet, so we have to figure out the rest of these 3 clues. So the second clue is I have 2 pairs of parallel sides. Take a look at that hierarchy. So now we know that it could be a parallelogram. We have eliminated kite and we've eliminated trapezoid because they're on the other sides of parallelogram in that hierarchy. Okay, so we still have 2 clues left to go. So it's quadrilateral, parallelogram. Where are we going to go from here? Well, this shape also has 4 right angles. So looking at your hierarchy, underneath a parallelogram, what has 4 right angles? Yes, a rectangle has 4 right angles. So rhombus is out, trapezoid is out, the kite is out. So now with one more clue, it's either going to be a rectangle or right below it, it's going to be the square. Let's figure it out through this last clue. It says I have 4 congruent sides. So it is yes, it's a square. A square has 4 congruent sides. It's not a rectangle because a rectangle, which I had drawn on my board just on Tuesday, a rectangle has different lengths, or they can have different lengths. So the most specific thing that we would name for this riddle would be this is a square. All right? So we're going to do 2 more hierarchy riddles before I send you away to do your own. So with this one, I am a closed figure with 3 or more sides. So where do we start? What are you thinking? That's going to be a polygon. So we're starting way up at the top. All right? Could be a whole bunch of figures from here. It could be a triangle. It could be a hexagon. But let's read the next clue to the riddle. I have exactly 3 sides. Exactly 3. The shape that has exactly 3 sides is, bingo, triangles. All right? So now we're working with our triangles here. So the quadrilaterals, the pentagons, hexagons, decagons, they're all gone. We're just working with these shapes, the triangles here. All right? Next clue says, I have 1 right angle. So I'm looking at my right triangles. So it's either going to be a right isosceles triangle or a right scalene triangle. Because remember, equilateral triangles can't have a right angle in them. All right. Then let's take a look. One final clue. None of my sides are congruent. So if none of the sides are congruent, it must mean that it is a ding 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 scalene triangle. Scalene triangles have no congruent sides, and isosceles one would have two sides. So our most specific way of classifying this is going to be a right scalene triangle. All right. So riddle number 3, final riddle before you go write your own. First clue, I have 4 angles. They reworded this. I think in the first riddle it said I have 4 sides. What shape is going to have 4 angles? Yes, it's still a quadrilateral. So we're going to go back to that page 225. You're going to want to use that. Whether it has 4 angles or 4 sides, you're basically saying the same thing. All right. The second clue, I have 2 pairs of parallel sides. Yes, it is going to be a parallelogram. It's not a trapezoid because that has 1 pair of parallel sides, and a kite doesn't have any pairs that are parallel. Let's see, we have the next clue. All 4 of my sides are congruent. So for underneath parallelogram, where are the sides congruent? Yeah, it's going to be a rhombus. It's not rectangle because those sides don't have to be congruent. So it's going to be a rhombus. And let's see if we our last clue. We're either going to be a rhombus or below it is going to be a square. It's going to be one of those 2 shapes. So let's listen to our last clue. And it says, I have no right angles. That means it's going to be a rhombus. A square has 4 right angles, and a rhombus has none. If it has no right angles, it's going to be classified as a rhombus. All right, excellent. So that's our last work with these shapes. They'll come back in a couple different student book pages and home connections later on as we close out this unit. But that's all for our instruction. If you're feeling confused, always feel free to come back to these. Reach out to a teacher if you need some help. Your work for today is 2 things. First thing, there's a student book page 230 that I want you to complete. Make sure you share that with your teacher. And then at the same time, I want you to create your own riddle. In that Google slide, create your own riddle, getting more and more specific. So what I would suggest is pick a shape that you want to identify. Maybe it's an obtuse scalene triangle. And then kind of work your way back. How would I get there in 4 steps? What would I need to say in order for whoever's reading it to be able to figure out what your most specific shape is? So I look forward to seeing those. I know the rest of the 5th grade teachers are looking forward to reading those as well. All right, so 230 and creating your own hierarchy riddle. Excellent. So enjoy the long weekend. You have Friday off. You've got next Monday off. I won't see you guys until next week, Tuesday. And in fact, Mr. Sharoni is going to be taking over the lessons for next week. So we'll see you then. Have a great one, guys.